This week on Jerusalem Dateline, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu comes out on top in Israel's latest election. But can he put together a coalition? We'll have analysis. Plus, CBN News heads to Paris, where Jewish leaders address the rise of anti-Semitism in Europe. And Israel takes on the coronavirus. Can these researchers provide a solution for this global scourge? All this and more this week on Jerusalem Dateline. Hello and welcome to this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. I'm Chris Mitchell. Here in Israel, the coronavirus is having an impact. 17 Israelis have been diagnosed with the coronavirus, and as a safeguard, the government has quarantined 70,000 people. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says they are doing what they can to prepare.
I think that we are dealing with this crisis vis-a-vis both health and the economy in the best way. However, this is not to say that we do not face major challenges. On this issue as well, I think that companies, businessmen and women, and business owners act in coordination with the government ministries, follow instructions, and be prepared.
Israeli authorities closed down checkpoints into Bethlehem after 7 people were ordered into quarantine after they tested positive for the new coronavirus. The closure disappointed some tourists.
I feel sad and disappointed because we traveled all the way from Czech Republic in Europe, and now we cannot visit it because of the coronavirus. And we are disappointed because we are leaving tomorrow and we will have no other option to visit it.
Palestinian officials also indefinitely closed the Church of the Nativity in the biblical city over fears of the virus, just weeks ahead of the busy Easter holiday season.
They locked the church today actually because of taking care of cleaning, because we know that many people come from all over the world.
I'm from Oregon with a group of people from all over the states doing a seminar learning about Israel and visiting a lot of the places. You know, it would have been great to be able to go in, but that's okay. I'm not too worried about it.
Well, medical research labs worldwide are racing to find a vaccine for the coronavirus. Now, one Israeli laboratory claims it has a 4-year head start. Since 2016, technicians at the Migal Research Institute have been working to prevent coronavirus in poultry. Researchers here in Migal discovered that the poultry coronavirus is genetically related to the human coronavirus. That makes it more likely they can produce a human vaccine in a shorter period of time.
We've reached like a winning formula for vaccination of poultry, which worked very, very nicely.
As Shahar and his team monitored the human coronavirus outbreak, they saw value in their years of research.
We have a really nice results of our vaccines, which was developed in a new technology that was capable of stopping the infection of the IBV, of the avian coronavirus. I believe that in a very simple step of adjustment, we can adjust our vaccines, which was developed for avian virus, to the human coronavirus.
If you induce an immune response against these proteins, and it works so well in poultry, there is no reason why it shouldn't work in human.
Their human coronavirus vaccine will begin in this room.
At the moment it's for the poultry coronavirus, but in a similar way we are going to grow here the human corona vaccine.
The Migal team believes it has an ambitious yet achievable timetable.
In a matter of days we are going to begin the production here. We're going to set up all the production process for the human version of the vaccine, and we believe that in a matter of a few weeks up to 3 months we're going to have enough vaccines to begin to initiate the preclinical and clinical trials.
Investors and drug companies have encouraged Migal Institute to take their work to the next level. Once clinical trials begin, however, the regulatory authorities take over.
We are very optimistic. We know that there is still a major step to do with the clinical trials. We hope we will be able to prove the safety of our solution, of our vaccines, and thereafter we really hope it will get to the people.
Safety testing could take months and then up to a year before the vaccine is ready for mass production. To date, the U.S. National Institutes of Health considers the Moderna to be the most promising vaccine. While the folks at Migal realize the challenges, they hope their head start can be part of the vaccine solution for this global problem.
We really understand the importance of the mission we are in at the moment, and I think that every one of us is recruited fully to do anything we can to advance our vaccine as soon as possible. And really, this is something that I think each one of us personally is motivated to do that, and we understand the importance.
Israelis held their third election within a year. The unofficial vote count is complete, and Benjamin Netanyahu's Likud party is the winner. But his conservative coalition is 3 seats short of a Knesset majority, and that has inspired new attempts to oust him. Although Likud supporters came out on top, the celebrations in the wee hours of Tuesday morning seem like a long time ago.
As much as these elections look right now, it's clear that Gantz and his bloc lost, but it is not clear that Netanyahu has a clear victory.
What we know after the third election is that Benjamin Netanyahu has the best chance to form a government. What isn't known is whether Israel's president, the courts, or the next Knesset will block Netanyahu's push to build a coalition. Since the election, Netanyahu's rivals are looking for ways to stop him from keeping his office.
The election results are slowly tallying up, and it is evident that Netanyahu does not have 61 seats to form a government. We will examine our options.
Blue and white leader Benny Gantz wants the next Knesset to pass a law barring an indicted prime minister from forming a government. Israel Beiteinu leader Avigdor Lieberman says he backs such a law. That means a majority of the Knesset, 62 members, support that law. That could effectively disqualify Netanyahu from forming the next government. Interior Ministry Aryeh Deri pointed out that the right won 500,000 more votes than the left. And he added, quote, "We will not allow election results to be changed by legislation." In addition to this legislation, there are several potential scenarios unfolding on Israel's political landscape. One would be Netanyahu having members of the Blue and White or Labor Party join a right-wing coalition.
The Labor Party, of all people, even though they lean left, they would like to have some say in an Israeli government, and especially if they're given a ministry that's important to them, like the finance ministry, they might consider it.
Another would be a left-wing coalition with the support of some Arab members of the Knesset. Finally, Israelis could go to the polls for a fourth election in 2020. The next few days and weeks will determine which one of these scenarios comes to pass. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem. Up next, analysis in the aftermath of Israel's third national election in a year, and more about its political future.
Discover the connection between Passover and Easter in CBN's free guide, Passover and Easter, A Divine Connection. You'll explore the Jewish festival of Passover, understand why Jesus is the Passover Lamb of God, and encounter his death and resurrection like never before. Enrich your celebration of Easter this year with a free copy of Passover and Easter, A Divine Connection. Call now or go to cbn.com/Passover and Easter for your free guide.
Nigerian Christians
in Iran are routinely arrested.
Catholic Christians continue to suffer.
In times of trial and affliction, you need to know the truth.
One of the fastest growing Christian populations in the world.
Join Wendy Griffith and George Thomas for Christian World News.
Young people are the ones who are open to the gospel.
Powerful stories of suffering and hope that affect all Christians. Watch Christian World News, Saturday at 5 p.m.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Protect your sleep and live your best life with innovative information from 5 leading sleep experts.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
Discover a sleep-enhancing bedtime routine, how to put insomnia to rest, learn how to relieve pain that disturbs sleep, and much more in Protect Your Sleep.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Don't miss out on this brand new series.
I talked about the aftermath of Israel's election with CBN News senior editor John Waggy and CBN News Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl in our Jerusalem studio. John, Julie, great to be with you again for the third time within a year talking about Israeli elections. We were there at Likud headquarters the other night. You know, John, a lot of people have been talking about Netanyahu's victory. It was only 58. He didn't get 61. But what's your analysis, you know, historically about how significant this election for Netanyahu was?
Well, personally, I think it was huge for Netanyahu, and it was a big comeback, and it was a big celebration the night of the victory
we saw
party.
It, yeah, we were there.
Because at the time, the exit polls had said 60 seats. He needed 61 for a majority coalition. That was just one seat short, and that seemed like no problem to accomplish. Okay, it's at 58 now. He still had a significant win on that election night, even if some of the celebration has died down. And it's going to be a challenge to try and put a coalition together, but there is no one on the scene who can put a coalition together in Israel right now. Blue and White has to have the help of this 15 seats in the joint Arab list. The Arab parties, not necessarily Arab people, but the Arab parties don't want to recognize the existence of the nation of Israel as a Jewish state. That's a big problem when you're trying to form a coalition of the Jewish state. So it's still Netanyahu's to put together a government, and the question now is how long will it take him to do it?
That's right. Julie, there's a lot of potential scenarios of how Netanyahu can get to the 61 or more, but there's a lot of internal pressure among Israelis not to go to a fourth election. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think, you know, if you asked anybody would they like to go to national elections 3 times in a year, it's you know, once, maybe twice, but 3 times, it's really like enough. And the thought of going to a fourth election is really, nobody wants that. So I think Netanyahu is under a lot of pressure. Other parties are under a lot of pressure to possibly join him, maybe the Labor Party, maybe we talked about the idea of defectors, yeah.
Blue and White, yeah.
Yeah, from Blue and White or from, you know, from the Labor Party or any of the parties to come on board with him and give him the 61 seats that he needs. And I think that's probably not so far-fetched. I mean, you know, Blue and White was basically raised up with the goal of defeating Netanyahu. And
anybody but Bibi.
Right,
yeah.
And they haven't done it. So, you know, it's possible that that could happen.
Right. John, talk about some of the issues that really didn't make the news necessarily. I know you mentioned in the past this whole idea of the peace plan by the Trump administration. What are those issues that really didn't get talked about?
Yeah, I think behind the scenes, the peace plan and the idea that Israelis have moved on, Israeli Jews have moved on from the Oslo process for the most part. Now it's a question of how much of Judea and Samaria, the West Bank, are you going to annex? And it doesn't have to be done overnight. I don't think Netanyahu wants it done overnight. I know the Trump administration doesn't want done overnight, but the idea that it's not occupied territory anymore, occupied by Israel, that it's disputed territory, that the Israelis have just as much right to claim as anybody else, the Palestinians, that's a sea change. And it wasn't really discussed that much in the context of the election, but I think it affected votes. Another thing that affected votes, I think, was the Bernie Sanders scare. The fact that here's this man who's basically calling the man that Israelis chose to be prime minister for 11 years now almost, a reactionary racist. That's not something that goes down well, especially with the half to 60% of Israelis who lean to the right.
Right. And of course, when we're talking about the West Bank or Judea and Samaria, we're talking about something with prophetic implications. Julie, final question to you. Here we are the third time in a year. We're getting to know exactly what happens, but walk people through exactly what happens now in terms of Rivlin, the president of Israel, what his role is, etc.
So basically, the president of Israel, within the next week, he will decide who he's going to task with forming the next government, with the, you know, giving them the option to try it. Probably it will be Netanyahu, although there were some rumblings that it might not be. And as long as the courts don't step in and try to block Netanyahu because he's indicted and he's going to court in a few weeks. As long as they don't stop it, then Netanyahu will then have 6 weeks to try to form a government. There were rumors before that he wanted to try to have it done before he went to court. So I don't know if that will happen or not. We'll see, but you know, he'll have 6 weeks. If that fails, it can be given to somebody else for 6 weeks, then another possible 2 weeks, and if that doesn't work, we're back at
Well, we hope we don't go
square
that
one.
far. Yeah. Well, John, Julie, thanks for your expertise, and John, great to have you back here in Jerusalem. Look forward to your next visit. Coming up, government and Jewish leaders gather in Paris to address the alarming rise of anti-Semitism in Europe.
Now, for a limited time, you can get 5 of CBN's critically acclaimed documentaries. Experience the rebirth of the modern state of Israel.
The historic bonds between the Jewish people and the land of Israel cannot be broken.
Relive the battle for Jerusalem in the Six-Day War.
Jerusalem is yours, forever.
Discover how Israeli volunteers are changing the world.
When people need us, we volunteer and we come and help.
Explore the world of Israeli technological innovation.
We're people of dreams. God gives us dreams. And that's really the roots, I think, of much of our innovation.
And understand the biggest land dispute in history.
Many Palestinian Arabs claim that the Jews stole Arab land. But is that the real story?
This exclusive Israel DVD collection can be yours for a gift of $40 or more. Call now or go online to get your Israel DVD bundle today.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times bestselling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts, in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain. Get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
More than 75 years after the Holocaust, anti-Semitism is still alive and flourishing, especially in Europe. So how do Jewish people respond? Run away or stay and fight? CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl traveled to Paris to see how two groups are fighting the oldest hatred on earth.
Paris, home to the Arc de Triomphe, Eiffel Tower, and Notre Dame Cathedral. Unfortunately, this epitome of beauty and culture is also one of the places across Europe experiencing a rise in acts of anti-Semitism.
We are facing threats throughout Europe, and the question rises day to day whether or not there's a present and a future for Jews in Europe.
Rabbis Yehuda Kovesh and Menachem Margolin believe a future is possible if they act now. That's why they invited some 300 world leaders to come together here and confront what's facing the Jewish community.
Unfortunately, here in Europe, one of the challenges is the anti-Semitism and the rise of anti-Semitism, which is strengthened from all sides, whether it's from the extreme Muslims or from the extreme left or from the extreme right.
Jew hatred is Jew hatred. What difference does it make what ideological clothing it makes? What ideological clothing it disguises itself in, or from which ideological camp it comes? It has to be combated.
Organizers held the event at the New European Judaism Center behind me at Jerusalem Place in the heart of Paris. They see the center as a light in the darkness and hope it's a sign of better things for the Jewish community in Europe.
As mayor, I think that we have to fight, because when people attack Jewish community, these people attacks all our democracy and the humanity.
We have to fight darkness with light. We have to fight the voices of hatred with voices of love and voices of the eternal values of Judaism and Jewish practice.
Rabbi Kovesh, head of the Action and Protection League, conducted the most comprehensive survey ever to measure anti-Semitic attitudes in Europe. 16,000 people in 16 European countries were surveyed. The results showed a fifth of Europeans believe a secret Jewish cabal controls world politics and economics. The same amount believe Jewish people exploit Holocaust victimhood for their own needs. And a quarter of the respondents agreed that Israel's policies make me understand why some people hate Jews.
Once we learn the battlefield, so-called, then we can challenge anti-Semitism and we can attack anti-Semitism with tools of love, as I said. And this main tool is education.
Rabbi Margolin of the European Jewish Association sees only one way to beat anti-Semitism on the continent.
We truly believe that only governments could really take the right steps in order to eradicate anti-Semitism.
That plan includes government legislation that would mandate educating citizens on anti-Semitism, the Holocaust, and the history of Jewish contributions to Europe. The proposed law would also ban anti-Semitic stereotypes in the public arena, like recent carnivals in Belgium and Spain, plus the sale of Nazi memorabilia.
We could condemn, we could speak, we could try to have dialogue, but at the end of the day, there are too many anti-Semites. And this issue is so old.
And then there's the so-called new anti-Semitism of the left.
Many in the Jewish community are now saying anti-Semitism is actually, or goes actually hand in hand with anti-Zionism.
Anti-Semitism is anti-Semitism, and in the last decades, anti-Semitics were looking for another reason or another excuse to act against Jews. And they found Israel as an opportunity to attack Jews. But most important, the fact is that every time people attack Israel or would like to attack Israel, they also attack Jews in Europe.
In Paris, fear prevents many Jews from wearing their kippahs or head coverings. Margolin, an Orthodox Jew, says his family has experienced this bigotry in their home country of Belgium, yet they will not back down.
We'll insist to work like that because we would like to see all other people to see us and understand that we intend to stay. We intend to continue to fight for our right, and we intend to pass the message that all Jews should be proud about who we are.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Paris, France.
Coming up, a look at CBN Documentary's new film, I Am Patrick.
Roman soldiers destroy the Second Temple of Jerusalem. Centuries of eyewitnesses say the temple treasures survived. But where are they?
They went from Jerusalem to Rome, Rome to Carthage, Carthage to Byzantium.
Historians are silent about what happened to it next.
CBN Documentaries presents the worldwide release of Treasures of the Second Temple.
So does it still exist today?
A story of mystery.
Where is it?
Calamity. Most of the victims were butchered. And destiny.
The possibility to dig is impossible.
Get your copy of Treasures of the Second Temple. Yours for a gift of any amount to CBN Documentaries.
Christians around the world are standing with the Israelis. But why? In CBN's free magazine, Friends of Israel, you'll discover why Christians are supporting the Jewish state, how Israel is fulfilling prophecy as a light to the nations, and ways you can pray for the people of Israel. Israel needs the support of friends like you. Call now or go to cbn.com to get your free copy of Friends of Israel.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body? on your arteries so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago. The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
Most people know that St. Patrick's Day is March 17th, but what many may not know is that Patrick, patron saint of Ireland, was one of the most influential Christians in early Christianity. CBN Documentaries tells the story of this man who put his life on the line for the gospel.
It was not my grace, but God, who conquered in me and who resisted them all, that I might come to the Irish nations to preach the gospel.
The preconception that we've got about St. Patrick is completely wrong. Ireland was a place of barbarians at the end of the world.
Get going, boy.
It is slavery for life.
Patrick, you are to travel to your homeland.
Patrick. You're alive. You're alive.
To hear the call to go back to Ireland terrified him. It was asking a lot of this man to do this.
This does not have to be, Patrick. It is the will of God. Go into all the world and preach the gospel.
Who among you heeds the call?
But why would this man put himself in danger among enemies who do not know God?
People thought that this mission was crazy, that his efforts to Christianize Ireland were doomed to failure.
Tell us the secret you know about Patrick.
Things in the past can come back to haunt us.
Take him.
It's time to go.
I'm not finished.
I Am Patrick hits the big screen for a 2-night Fathom event. And yes, it's right in time for St. Patrick's Day, March 17th and 18th. Tickets are on sale right now. So to see one man's journey from slave to saint, go to IamPatrick.com today. That's all for this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. Thanks for joining us. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. I'm Chris Mitchell. We'll see you next time on Jerusalem Dateline.